Hi, my name is Tabi. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Gisti. You can call me Tante Gisti. I'm a neuroscientist and stem cell biologist.
What kind of scientist are you?
I was trained as firstly as a stem cell biologist, and then I branched out to neuroscience along the way.
What is neuroscience?
Neuroscience is the study of the brain and the central nervous system, but the neuroscience that I'm looking at is more into the biology field.
How do you study the brain?
I study the brain by using a specific tool called stem cells. I don't know if have you heard of stem cells before?
No.
So there are two types. So there is this source of stem cells that is from pre-implantation, and there is another one that is called reprogrammed stem cells that is coming from our blood or from the skin that I can convert it into any cell type in the body. So what I'm doing is convert these stem cells into brain cells because as you know that we can't cut open the brain to study the brain. So we need a model system to mimic something that looks like a brain cells, and we are using stem cells to make them into a brain cells.
What is the coolest thing you've done?
Because I've done, I think every day I always learn something new. I'm very interested to find out what kind of tools that I can use every day to learn something new with whatever advances we have in the field.
Do you work in a lab? What is
Yes.
it like there?
Yes, so I work in the lab. It's a biology lab actually. So it's we are doing mostly molecular biology. So it's not like so there are different levels of safety. It's not a very high risk safety like an infectious disease like the virus and stuff. But we still do work with some viruses, so I still have to take care of myself and my family as well. So we have to be very careful about the safety actually when we work in the lab.
Do you do a lot of experiment?
Yes, so every day we are planning experiments and we are trying to formulate a hypothesis where we are trying to test that hypothesis whether they are true, and that's gonna inform us of a new knowledge that we and others can eventually build a new knowledge based on that. What do I do at work? I do experiments and I analyze my experiments, and I also read papers to better understand what I can do to plan more experiments and to test my hypothesis. So basically, it's always a cycle of the same thing that eventually trying to get the goal that we want to study.
How do you find new things?
How do I find new things? Actually, so from experiment, there are always new technologies that can be applied. For example, I'm interested in studying a certain disease and how disease can happen using the stem cells. And basically, we are trying to learn through all these experiments and see what the results are, and all the results are always a new results. That basically we are trying to do something that has never been done in the field, so that will be a good science, I would say. But there are always competition, so somewhere in the world that there must be someone who is doing the same thing as you do. So
Why is our brain important?
because it's the vital organ that controls most of the things like how you breathe, how you move, how you speak, how you control your emotions and everything. And it's very complex that it's still one of the most challenging part of the body to understand, I think.
How does our brain learn new things?
So in neuroscience, there's something called synaptic plasticity or neuroplasticity, and this is in biologically, it's when the two nerve cells meet with each other, and that's when it forms synapses. And when this is usually happen when you learn new things, you learn a new language, or you read a books, or basically when you learn something new.
What made you interested in studying the brain?
What made me interested in studying the brain? Let me think. So it happened organically, actually. So I have always been interested in the brain, I think, since I started my undergrad in life science. And eventually I did a lot of research. The topics that I chose is always about the brain. And then I just like to have a specialized form that I continue to follow throughout. I think.
Do you have to be very smart?
No, I'm not very smart at all, actually. I was always I'm not one of the smartest in the class, but I think I put in hard work and I do it consistently. But not very, so I don't think I'm very smart. So it just do repeated things and then put in consistent work.
What skills do you need to be a scientist?
That the grit to keep trying even though it's not working, because you always try to find what do you think can make it work, and if it still doesn't work, then try to troubleshoot all the time how to make it work, and eventually you will know if it doesn't work, and it's still also a result, it's a negative result basically. The best part of my job, I think I enjoy if I go to conferences, because I really meet a lot of people within the field that I have been always a fan of, and I get to network with them, and I can present my work.
What's the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of the job, I think, for me right now, maybe it's the time commitment, because you can always put in as much time as you want in the lab. But now I have children and family commitment, so I will have to put less amount of time, and it's something that I compensated, but that's totally okay.
If our brains were a superhero, what would its special power be?
I think the brain itself is already a superhero. Probably the neuroplasticity is one of the most important power that the brain has. 'Cause it controls also a whole other things.
Thank you.
Welcome, Leah.
Bye.